Hi, it's Awkward from Oneness, Freedom to be Happy and Healthy, Wealthy and Healed movement. And you are listening to a training series on the Awakened Imagination Challenge. And today's lesson number 7, the final variation of this theme for the Awakened Imagination Challenge. So here we go, lesson number 7, we call this talk radio. What I want you to do is to, well, let's begin with this. For some people, actually overhearing a conversation or monologue triggers the exit from the state of the wishful thought. In other words, you could be doing great in the state of financial wealth and abundance and the investor, and you click on a talk radio and you hear. So Bob tells us about the recession. And the guest, Bob, well, the recession is terrible. It's a terrible recession. People are losing their houses, their jobs. You may even know people who are like that. And suddenly you are either falling from the conversation or arguing against the conversation or going, yeah, that's right. I should be worried about this. It's crazy. Now, this may sound like, this builds up on the earlier lesson of auditory, but this is a slightly different one because we want you to notice how susceptible you are to overhearing a conversation. Now, one of the keys with this is, if you find that if you click on a talk radio or something, or if you overhear two people talking, oh, isn't it terrible what happened to so-and-so? If you overhear people talking like that, and that gets your imagination going in a not so good way, this tells you something. This gives you a marvelous tool, and the marvelous tool is this. You can imagine overhearing a conversation that's positive, productive, and supports your state. Again, when we did this recording and training on affirmations, one of the things we mentioned is that there are 5 major ways that people can do affirmations. We're not big fans to begin with, but there are 5 ways to do them. One of the most powerful ways so many people is imagining hearing a conversation, and we suspect this is also why Neville's method of congratulatory conversation works so well. Because if you can imagine 2 people talking about how successful you are, how happy, how healthy you are, and turning to you, you're already feeling good by overhearing their conversation. But it's not the conversation that makes the difference, it's what you imagine about that conversation. Again, some people overhear a good conversation about them. For example, I've got a buddy who does this. You know, he overheard me and a friend talking about how great he was doing with his art project, and he said, well, yeah, but you guys would say that about me because you're my friends. You see, he's imagining that we would only say that because we are his friends. And again, when we educate him on these triggers and we help him get, it's not the conversation that we're having that's bringing you down, it's what you are imagining about it. Again, that's where we want to play it today. We want to know how susceptible you have been to conversations that you overhear, or news reports, or when people share, oh, I had a rough day, and then I hope you don't have a rough day. It's almost like when you overhear somebody talking, or if you notice people talking, like, I've got 2 friends on Facebook, and they were going back and forth one day, and people are joining in the conversation about how the conversation was bringing them down, and it's like, no, the conversation isn't bringing you down, it's what you imagine that's relevant to you, that brings you down. Again, this whole week has been designed to help you discover one thing and not get it in your head, but to get it through your experience. And the experience being this: you are that young man that's walking up to the 2 girls, and when they giggle, you're going to imagine something. You're going to imagine the meaning behind that. You're going to imagine the relevance to you. And then again, are they giggling because they like you, or are they giggling because they're making fun of you? Whatever you imagine is what you are going to respond to. And you are not responding to the giggle, you are responding to what you are imagining, the meaning you are applying to it through imagination. So, go listen to some talk radio, eavesdrop on some communication somewhere, and just notice, do you just suck into that? Do you get sucked into it in a way that you argue about it? Sucked into it in a way that brings you down? How susceptible are you to that? And again, this is a little nugget, because it tells you if you want to, you can imagine a conversation about you, and again, this is part of the reason that sometimes it works. Some people do. I imagine creative conversation, but I know they aren't real. Well, Neville says that what is real is the imagination, and think about it. If you are responding to your imagination, that is what is real to you. Again, this is really good stuff. We're creating some wonderful stuff here. So remember, today use your phrase again. This blank does not mean anything. This conversation, this talk radio show, what it's saying does not mean anything. It does not mean what I imagine it does. Okay? That's it for now. See you tomorrow. And remember to have fun.